Welcome back to Off the Bench. My name is Jack, and today I'm going to be bringing you my first franchise series on our channel here. And this one is going to be a Madden 25 rebuild of the 2012 Raiders using some retro rosters. This is not Madden 2014, which was the 25th anniversary. This is Madden 2025. This is the newest one. Got some retro rosters. It's got roster pictures and face scans for whoever they could, and it does a really great job of kind of putting you back in that time period, which was really nostalgic for me personally. That's some of my favorite players are from that era. And I picked the Raiders because they are very near and dear to my heart. They are not my favorite team, but I am an Oakland A's fan. So Oakland teams just kind of have a soft spot in my heart. I've always rooted for the Raiders whenever they play. I am a Steelers fan, but it's a bit of a weird combo. All my favorite teams, but Oakland Raiders were always super near and dear to me. The Vegas, the team now that they're in Vegas is kind of, I don't know. I don't know what to do with it still. I can't entirely support the ownership for doing that change. I feel very bad for the fans in Oakland, especially now that they're out of teams completely. But, the Raiders are the Raiders at the end. Like, they haven't really kind of transcended that label they have on themselves for just kind of being the Raiders. They have certainly some stereotypes that go against their franchise that they don't really do a good job of kicking, at this point in time. So the Raiders are the Raiders, so they will kind of always have a soft spot for me. I don't know, your expectations can't be super high, unfortunately. But I love Raiders fans. They're very passionate, just like my Steelers fans. But it's an interesting relationship. I'm excited to do this team. 2012 Raiders. It's a team I'm not entirely familiar with this particular roster. I feel like this is kind of between eras of Raiders football that I kind of like know and love. Because this is post Jamarcus Russell, this is post Carson Palmer trade. I believe this was his first year there. But there's some interesting players here. I'll go through a couple of them here. Darren McFadden is the number 2 running back. He's a first round pick, obviously. Big name in the team's history, but he never lived up to his hype as far as where he was drafted. And the same kind of goes over here for Darius Hayward-Bay at receiver. He was an interesting player. He, had some pretty good plays throughout his career, but never put it together as like a number 1 target. Actually ended up in Pittsburgh at one point. But there's some interesting players. You have TJ Houshmandzadeh, who is how many years old at this point? He's 32. And mind you, you can't even see them right now, but the face scans are not exactly accurate. So, don't exactly worry about that for now. Some of the races might even be mixed up. It leads to some funny moments, but honestly, the roster pictures are enough for me. The immersion's kind of there. The only thing that's immersion breaking is like certain stadiums aren't right, and then the head coaches aren't going to be changed. But for the most part, it's a really good recreation of that with the new Madden gameplay and stuff, which I personally prefer a lot more to the old Maddens. I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of it's a bit of a clunky engine that they used to run on. And I just prefer the controls with the passing and everything like that, and even like defensive movement and stuff like that. I like it a lot better on the current Maddens. Obviously, these aren't the best games in the world, but it's still a good foundation for a series like this. And then as far as defense, we got Richard Seymour, the Hall of Famer. He is also quite old, I believe. He's only 31. For some reason, thought he got drafted way earlier than that, but still a good player. We'll probably look to find his replacement sometime soon. But as you can see, kind of between the stars, we got Rolando McClain at linebacker. He was a good player. Lamar Houston over here. But there's really not a lot in between these guys. The corner group needs some work. The safeties are okay. You're missing a linebacker 2 and a 3-4. It looks like this team's built better for a 4-3 because like Aaron Curry, which is who I believe this is. Yeah, Aaron Curry, who, if I'm remembering correct, I believe he's the Steelers linebackers coach right now. He's a former first-round pick by Seattle, I believe. It looks like it's suited for a 4-3. Obviously, this was over 10 years ago at this point, so it's not going to match the scheme that the Raiders run now. So I'm going to definitely switch that scheme, and it'll be more lined up right. That would be why the team doesn't quite look complete. So we'll go there, check it out, and then we can get a better view of how this goes. But there's a few stars here. Overall, they were coming out of one of the worst eras the team's ever had, and obviously they didn't even make it back to the playoffs until 2016. Lost in the first round because Carr was injured. Didn't make it back till 2021, I believe, and lost in the first round. So what we're gonna try and do here. We're coming out of the Jamarcus Russell era, and we want to like right the wrongs and make the right draft picks over the years that they were not able to make historically, because they are one of the worst drafting teams that I've seen in my life. So we're gonna try and right the wrongs that this team committed, and just kind of bring the Raiders back to glory like they were in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. So this is a pretty good offensive line. Shout out Steven Wisniewski, another Steeler for about 2 games before he got hurt. I'm going to keep bringing that up, that they were former Steelers. But good player. He's a rookie here. He's got hidden dev. He'll probably end up being a pretty good player for us. Then we got Jared Veld here at left tackle, who now makes some pretty cool content talking about NFL and fitness and stuff like that. Real cool dude. But he was a stud, man. 24-year-old with X Factor, 93 overall left tackle. He's probably going to be an absolute stud for us. O-linemen that good tend to sim pretty well, so we'll see about that. But there's some other guys here. You got Barnes, you got Hurd, that are not starting, and Barksdale, who I'm actually remembering from older Madden games, just from his face. That's kind of funny. That are kind of odd men out. There's not really a place to play them, per se. Barnes could start at left guard if we want him to, but we're going to get through the preseason. I'll place a couple guys on the trade block and just kind of see what offers we get, but that's kind of the plan for now. I may end up trading Michael Bush. There we go. I was trying to remember his name. Michael Bush may end up on the trade block. I kind of want to even things out and see. I want to try and build around Darren McFadden, because I believe, he's only 24 at this point with Star. It's a good spot to be in. There's some developmental players here that I think we can build around, but for the most part, we're going to kind of try and rebuild this team altogether. The other thing I did notice before starting this was that there's no tight end on this team. I believe it was it Zach Miller? Is that who I'm thinking of? In the 2000s, that was their tight end. I believe it was Zach Miller. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but he was the tight end for a while. They had just a revolving door of guys over the years. So we're going to try and get a stud tight end. I'll probably pick up a vet in free agency right now and just kind of see what the options are. But we're going to do that, and then I'll do some training camp drills, and we'll see what the roster's looking like for week 1. All right, so here we are. We're going to trade for a tight end here, just a starter, kind of a stopgap. We got Jeremy Shockey at 31 years old. I can't remember off the top of my head if he played for the Panthers. I imagine, because I haven't simulated it all, that he probably did play there. But I'm liking this auto trade that they set up for us. It's just a couple depth guys for a starting tight end, so I'm going to take that. So now we have 31-year-old Jeremy Shockey. And then the other thing I did was I picked up some corner depth, because there's some hidden dev guys on our team, but overall not great starting level players. So hopefully we'll develop those younger guys through weekly training and stuff like that. So as you can see, we got Jeremy Shockey at tight end. But the other guy I picked up was Patrick Surtain Sr. He's 35 at this point, but he's a 76 overall. He's pretty good. So we'll keep him there for now. This is kind of funny, because this is a DB named Chris Johnson, but they gave him Chris Johnson, the running back's face photo for the roster. This happens a couple times. I know there's a receiver named Kyle Williams who had the D-tackle Kyle Williams' picture, who was like 300-something pounds, so obviously he wasn't playing wide receiver. So it's kind of funny. There's a couple like that, but for the most part, they get everyone, including a lot of like low-tier depth guys that you would not expect to have photos of. I did not know that John Henderson was on this team. Shout out. He's got one of my favorite clips of all time, where he's like entering the stadium on the Jaguar when he was on the Jaguars, and he has the like equipment guy or something smack him in the face to wake him up, and to get all hyped up. It was one of the funniest clips I've ever seen. So it's kind of funny that he's there, but yeah. So overall, I mean, there's some guys here that I'm gonna consider trading at the deadline. It kind of just depends how the sim goes. I don't know how Carson Palmer is gonna play. I think at this point in his career, could be argued that he should be a little higher overall, but he's 31. I mean, this is like when they started to think about replacing Derek Carr age-wise. And so, I don't know. I mean, there's not a great chance that he kind of ascends, because when he was on the Cardinals, when he got traded away from the Raiders, he was an incredible player. I thought he was very good there. Him and Larry Fitzgerald had a really good connection. I don't think we're necessarily going to get that in Sim here. We're probably going to be looking for QBs sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how Madden Sim works with QBs over the age of 30, even though it's realistic for them to play to 35 and beyond. So we'll just kind of see how that goes, but I'm more focused on the young skill position guys and the offensive line, and we're going to kind of just rearrange them a bit. And so, as I'm sure you can assume by the runtime and where we're at now, this isn't going to be a full episode with any games played or anything like that. It's just kind of the introduction and everything. Um, but I'm excited for this series, man. There's gonna be episode 2 will be up tomorrow as you're seeing this. Should be a great time. This should be a really good one. So I'm gonna get through these training camp things and I'll share the upgrades with you guys once we're done there. All right, here we are. We got some upgrades to do, and then there's a trade or two that I want to try and do before we get into the regular season with this roster. I don't know how that's possible. All right. Well, we got 10 upgrade points for Denarius Moore. He's going to be an 85 overall deep threat. That is insane. I'm actually not even going to do these one by one. I'll just do them all together. That is insane. I have never seen anything like that. I don't know what model they based him off of or whatever. But somehow he's got that many. This is an insane amount of upgrades. All right, we're just gonna auto upgrade everyone then. This is crazy. I've never seen so many upgrade points for single players in my life. What the hell? All right, let's see what we got. Roster-wise now, I'll auto-sort the depth chart. All right, let's see. Yeah, this is already a much better team just based off that. But the receiving core is crazy. We got Hayward Bay's a 81 and Moore's an 85. This is crazy. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. The trades that I was planning on making, we're going to move Wisniewski to right guard. He'll stick there because it's mixing him up because he's a left guard as well as the other guy that's there. So we're going to switch him to right guard. We are under the maximum roster size too, so we can also add a couple guys when we're done. Higher, I really want Hurd to play because he has superstar and he's only like 20. What is he? 22? Yeah, 22-year-old rookie. For some reason, doesn't skipped hidden development and just has superstar. I don't mind. I'm not going to complain about that. So I think I might trade Hire and Barnes. Hurd is an 80 overall guard, but I'd rather play him at tackle. And Barksdale will probably just sit on the bench, which is fine by me. So yeah, we're gonna trade these guys. We're gonna see what we can get. I will admit I'm not great at manipulating the trade logic, which is kind of a good thing. I did set it to very hard trade difficulty too. So I'll mostly be relying on auto trades, but like mid-draft ones, I'll probably be able to like negotiate my own. I'm not a big fan of these, to be completely honest with you. These are not great. I think I'll take Danny Amendola. That's a valid trade. 75 rolled at 25 and a 4th round pick. This will be good. We'll take that. And then we're also going to trade Khalif Barnes. So Hurd's actually an 80 now, which is cool with all the upgrades and stuff. So I don't really care what I get for this guy. We got 34-year-old Randy Moss on the Cardinals. Brandon Carr is a solid depth option. He can play safety too for us. I won't say I'm like super excited about most of these options. I think I'm going to take Pierre Thomas. I want some running back depth. I'm not expecting Bush to be on the team by the end of the year, so Thomas behind McFadden should be pretty good. So we'll take that. And then we're going to resort the depth chart and just kind of see what it's looking like. But I overall like this a lot, so this is cool. Hurd at right tackle, Wisniewski right guard. This is good. Barksdale's our wing tackle. We'll see what he can do. You know, he's got 3 snaps out of 500, so he's probably not getting his development this season. We'll probably just get it revealed at the end of the year. That's no problem at all. Yeah, running back room's nice. Receiving room's even nicer. We got Danny Amendola now. Carson Palmer's got a pretty good unit to work with here. Defense is kind of the only thing I'm concerned about. Secondary is not outstanding, but we have some young guys there. We'll see. And I'll adjust these specialist positions. Yeah, we'll keep Chekwa at slot corner. We'll keep Amendola as slot receiver. Bush will be the power back. McFadden the 3rd down. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We'll keep Bush as the power back, but we're going to move him to 2 and have McFadden take the 1 snaps. And then Wembley and Curry are the rush ends. I don't like that, actually, like at all. So we'll see. We'll see if that sticks, but we'll leave that for now. I don't really. This first season is kind of irrelevant, to be honest. Mostly looking forward to the next draft, and that's something I kind of forgot to mention, but is sort of implied. This is going to be like a full historical franchise. All the draft classes are going to be year to year what they were in real life. So our first draft class will be the 2012 draft. So this is it's going to be exciting. I'm really, really excited for this series. I'll probably attempt to take it to modern day. We'll see if we do that or not, see if we make it that far, but that's the plan for now. So I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of setup episode. Our first real episode with games played will be coming out tomorrow. I hope you guys are excited for that. But this is the 2012 Raiders, and I cannot wait to get cracking into this. So I'll see you guys in the next one.